All right, Dragon Ball fans. Now we had a awesome episode of Dragon Ball Super premiere last night where Majin Buu took home the first victory of the exposition match between Universe 9 and Universe 7 for the Omniversal Tournament. And it was great to see Fat Buu in action again because we haven't really seen him fight in a while. I mean, yeah, he did fight against Beerus, but really that was more of a one-sided thing where it was more of a just to introduce Beerus and show how much a threat he was, not only taking out Super Saiyan 3 Goku earlier in the Battle of Gods arc, but also taking out Majin Buu, who was the main villain of the last series of Dragon Ball Z. Now, really looking back into the episode, it was great to see, again, Buu using his abilities, like stretching his limbs, regenerating after taking that hold to his stomach from Basil. But really looking back, I guess it's kind of important to kind of think about how powerful Majin Buu is. Now, the most key element to remember here, that this Majin Buu we're seeing now is not the original Majin Buu we saw when he came out of his cocoon or his ball at the beginning of the Buu arc in Dragon Ball Z, because remember that he eventually split between the Good Buu and the Evil Buu earlier during the, I believe it was the Fusion Saga, after Mr. Satan got shot and Buu healed him, but he was really angry to see his best friend near death, and that's when he got so mad that his steam actually personified into his evil Grey Buu self. Now, the Majin Buu we see today has been called many names. I guess you could say he's Mr. Buu, Innocent Buu, Good Buu, Fat. Well, some people can still call him either Fat Buu or Majin Buu. But really, in terms of power, he's a lot weaker than he originally was. And here's what I mean. Now, remember when Evil and Good Buu pretty much became their own different individual Buus? It wasn't a 50-50 power, split. It was really Evil Buu taking more than half of Fat Buu's power after those two split from each other. Because if you look back at the episode, I believe it was Buu versus Buu or Buu against Buu. It was right before Evil Buu actually countered the chocolate ray, turned Fat Buu or Good Buu into the piece of chocolate, ate him up, and then he became Super Buu before flying off to the lookout to look for Gotenks so they can fight. Now, in terms of the power split, given how easily Evil Buu took out Fat Buu, if I'm just, kind of spitballing here, I would say that the Good Buu, in terms of his maximum power based off the power split, I'd say that he would be around maybe 40% or 45% of what he originally was. Because again, the only time we saw each Majin Buu almost at a stalemate was during the beam collision of their Super Kamehameha waves or Majin Kamehameha waves. And it looked like they were even for a bit just because they were pushing back and forth. But at the end of the day, Evil Buu just easily knocked aside Fat Buu. So that's why I say that the Good Buu at maximum most likely had about 40 or 45% of his original power. Now, the easy part is done. We pretty much kind of determined how powerful the Good Buu is compared to his original self. But really, if we want to look at, characters to use as an experiment in this experiment as let's say a control, I'd say Super Saiyan 3 Goku from the Buu Saga is probably the best way of comparing him, as well as Super Saiyan 2 Vegeta. Now, when looking at, let's say, the Kid Buu saga, remember that Kid Buu eventually spit the Good Buu out of his body because when he was trying to attack Hercule, he couldn't do it because the Good Buu was inside of his head trying to, pretty much holding him back. So after spitting the Good Buu out, remember, this Buu is not the same Fat Buu we saw at the beginning of the arc. So he really is about less than half as strong as he was before. He was putting up a much better fight than Super Saiyan 2 Vegeta was against Kid Buu. But a couple things to remember about Majin Buu here. Number one, it's really hard to gauge the power of any Majin Buu simply because Majin Buu is really a character who loves to fight. He loves destruction. He craves that kind of action. But at the same time, it's rare that we see Majin Buu actually fight seriously, because even when he fights seriously, more often than not, he's angry, such as, Fat Buu when Gotenks called him fat. Let's see, Buuhan when Vegito, really pissed him off and was taunting him. And again, in those cases, you might see Buu do these incredible feats of power and strength, but it's really hard to gauge how powerful he is because he's not fighting clearly. Kid Buu is the perfect example of this, where even though it was clear that more or less Super Saiyan 3 Goku was equal to Majin Kid Buu, and he even said if he had a moment to charge up to 100%, he can completely eradicate Buu. However, Buu is really hard to gauge because again, sometimes he tanks hits just to do it. Like when base form Vegeta was blasting Buu, he just stood there and took it just to kind of demonstrate, okay, you blasted off my legs, but I can just regenerate like it's nothing. So that's the hardest part about Buu to gauge. Now, given the fact that, again, Good Buu was able to keep up with Kid Buu, and yes, I know he got defeated at the end, and when I say keep up, the reason that Good Buu did a lot better than Vegeta is because Buu can regenerate, hands down. I mean, even though Kid Buu was a lot stronger, no matter what he did, Majin Buu would just regenerate at the end. And it got to the point where he took too much damage that he almost died. Like, literally, if it wasn't for Hercule stepping in and throwing that rock at Kid Buu's head, he was about to, lose his best friend. So, when looking at Super Saiyan 3 Goku from the Buu saga, he stated that if he actually tried to go all out, he could have defeated the Fat Buu, but instead, Goku was stalling just so Trunks can get the Dragon Radar. But again, I think when it comes to the Fat Majin Buu from the Buu arc, but again, before the split, I honestly, and I'm going to be honest here, I don't think we actually saw Fat Buu at 100% power. I know you're probably going to think I'm crazy for saying that, but at the end of the day, think of it this way. I think Supreme Kai even mentioned this a lot. It was after Gohan and Supreme Kai got defeated by Fat Buu. When Fat Buu was released from the cocoon, and I think the boar was the one to piss him off first when he called him, like a brainless idiot or something to that effect. And then he took out the boar, I believe was an eye gouge and then a kick into a cliff. Gohan said it was like Buu was reaching into like a bottomless pit. It's like, yeah, he was playing around, but like for that 1 millisecond of him being serious, that was a power he had never sensed before. And then if you continue on from the time he fights, Gohan to the time he fights Majin Vegeta, then he goes around destroying cities and then eventually comes across Super Saiyan 3 Goku. Buu's power was growing the longer he was out of that cocoon. It's like, the best way I think of wording this is he's been in that cocoon for centuries, I believe even thousands of years if I'm not mistaken, based off the manga and anime. So it would make sense that his power was kind of dampened, meaning that he was confined to that ball for so long that it would take a while for him, in terms of being released from the ball, for him to get back to full power. Kind of like Imperfect Cell from Trunks' timeline. I think he stated that, in order to fit inside of the time machine, he had to regress back to a larval state into the cocoon. And then he buried himself underground after escaping from the time machine for about 3 years. And then during that time, he had to regrow back to his imperfect self. And then feeding on the humans was his way of getting back to his maximum power, because I think he even told Piccolo, hey, even though Ginger Town was a great feast, it wasn't enough to bring me back to my full power. So that just kind of hints that if a character or a being is confined to like a ball or something for X amount of time, it makes sense that they would regress in terms of their power, and then upon being released, it would take time for them to get back to 100%. So that's why I think that it's an important clue to look at the fact that Supreme Kai stated a couple of times that the longer Buu was out of his ball, the more powerful he grew, and it makes a lot of sense because he was confined to he was confined to that one space for so long without being able to move. It makes sense that his power was kind of dampened, but then upon being released, as well as fighting opponents, his power would grow. Because I think during the fight with Super Saiyan 3 Goku, that's the best example, because I think that Goku as well as King Kai said that, or I think even Goku said that, it doesn't matter how much energy I put out, I'm still not going anywhere. And I think King Kai even also mentioned that the more Buu and Goku fought against each other, the more powerful Buu became. So that's, again, it really goes down to the fact that the only time, and again, this is just my opinion here, the only time I think that Majin Buu, Fat Buu, was at 100% power was for a brief moment. And again, it goes down to the fact that Kid Buu absorbed, I believe it was the South Supreme Kai and the Grand Kai, well, not the Grand Supreme Kai, Daikaio, I believe his name was. Remember, it was the Fat Kai that was the ruler of the 4 Kais, and he got absorbed by the buff Buu. It was Kid Buu Then he absorbed the South Supreme Kai to become the buff, strong, like muscular Buu. And then from there, he absorbed the Grand Supreme Kai to become Fat Buu. Then, the translation in anime was a bit off. But if you look at the manga and anime, it's safe to say that old Kai was pretty much saying the same thing. And that the Supreme Kais that were absorbed by Kid Buu, quote unquote, weaken him in terms of their innocence, pureness, and goodness, kind of lowered his power. In my opinion, and again, I guess you can call it headcanon, but this is how I've always thought about it. Kid Buu absorbs beings who are either more powerful than he is or powerful to begin with to increase his own power. And his way of absorbing people is pretty much like the opposite of fusion. When you use fusion, it's almost like a multiplier. And when I think of the absorption technique for Majin Buu, it's more of a addition. Now, I think that after Kid Buu absorbed the South Supreme Kai and became the muscular buff Buu, I think it goes without saying that he was a lot stronger than he was as Kid Buu. And then when he absorbed the Grand Supreme Kai to become Fat Buu, I think in terms of overall power, he was more powerful than he was as Kid Buu and as Buff Buu, because, well, actually, that's kind of a contradiction, because I believe Vegeta and Goku said that his power was growing after ripping out Fat Buu from Super Buu's head. They said that Buff Buu was more powerful than he was as Super Buu, because Vegeta said his power should be decreasing, but it's increasing. So just to be on the safe side, I think that Buff Buu was more powerful than Kid Buu, but then in terms of the way the absorption should work, I think that Fat Buu should be more powerful than Kid Buu in terms of overall power. However, the fact that the Supreme Kais were, well, especially Grand Supreme Kai, was pure in goodness incarnate, if you want to put it that way, that brought down Majin Buu's total power. But at the same time, I think that when Buu got so angry that Mr. Satan was almost killed, that, all that steam rose from his head and he became so angry and powerful, I think that was the brief glimpse that we get to see Fat Buu at 100% power right before he split between evil and good Buu. That's my opinion on it, because I feel like even though the Kai's goodness kind of weakened him, I think that the angry Buu and then that hunger he had not for sweets before destruction was us seeing the Kid Buu inside of Fat Buu, if that makes any sense. I'm trying to, just kind of word the way I've always thought about this. So again, I think that if that angry Buu was the one to fight Super Saiyan 3 Goku, I don't think Goku would have had such an easy time as he was, during the fight, even though it really wasn't easy for him, because yeah, he was smacking Buu around, but he was exerting a lot of power. So all that's to say, at the end of the day, I think that if you want, and again, this is kind of the easiest way to break it down. I think that Goku's statement saying that if he actually tried, he could have defeated Fat Buu, that means that around maybe full power Super Saiyan 3 Goku, the power he said that was enough to obliterate Kid Buu would be the same power he can use to kill Fat Buu. Now, I feel like if we look at it that way, I believe he also had confidence that Super Saiyan Gotenks, before Hyperbolic Time Chamber training, was enough to defeat Fat Buu, that Super Saiyan 3 Goku and Super Saiyan Gotenks were more or less on the same playing field. Fat Buu was around that same level of strength. So I feel like in this equation, the easiest way to break it down would be to say, let's say Goku and Buu were more or less equals. Let's say the Fat Majin Buu before splitting into Good and Evil was on the same playing field or is equal to Super Saiyan 3 Goku. Now, we know that the Super Saiyan 3 multiplier is 4 times that of Super Saiyan 2, meaning that when Fat Buu split between evil and good Buu, let's say for this example that they were both even though we know they weren't. So that means that evil Buu and good Buu would be 50% of what they originally were. Now, again, for this example, we're saying that Super Saiyan 3 Goku and Buu were on the same level, meaning that if we break down Super Saiyan 3, that's 4 Super Saiyan 2 Gokus. Now, that means each Buu at 50% of what the original Fat Buu was would be 2 Super Saiyan 2 Gokus. Now, since evil Buu was more powerful than the good Majin Buu, that means the good Buu, the one that we see now at the end of Z as well as Super, he's more or less more powerful than one Super Saiyan 2 Goku, but less powerful than two Super Saiyan 2 Gokus. So, just to kind of spitball here, I would say that the 40%, 45% equation that I made up to begin with, that means that Good Buu is about 1.5, let's say around 1.5 Super Saiyan 3 Gokus. That could explain why Good Buu was able to hold his own against Kid Buu, while Kid Buu literally just curb stomp Super Saiyan 2 Vegeta. So at the end of the day, I just think that Fat Buu is one of the most powerful characters out of the pretty much the Z team, but he's still less powerful than, let's say, Gotenks, Super Saiyan 3 Goku, Ultimate Gohan, and that's pretty much it if I'm not mistaken, because I'm talking about Buu Saga here. Now, going from the gap between Kid Buu's defeat to where we are now in Super, I think it's safe to assume that Majin Buu is around the same power level, given the fact that Buu really only eats and sleeps and, plays around. So even Goku did state that right before the Universe tournament, I believe the 6 and 7 tournament, that, hey, let's have Buu on our team, because even though he's playful and whatnot, when he gets serious, he can become very powerful. That can mean one or two things, in my opinion. Number one, that means that even though Buu is playful and whatnot, when he's angry, he can fight serious. Like he's at that maximum power, he can fight. Or the second meaning that when Buu's angry, his power could grow, meaning that he become more powerful than that 1.5 Super Saiyan 2 Goku said a few minutes ago. So with that being said, I guess the best thing about Majin Buu is the fact that his recovery abilities are so impressive that, even though Basil was throwing moves and kicks around that could probably do great damage to, let's say, even a Gohan or a Piccolo, that Buu can just bounce back, no pun intended, and, take the victory. So at the end of the day, I feel like Fat Buu does deserve that spot on the Universe 17, because he's still more powerful than, let's say, the androids, Roshi, Krillin, Tien. It could be argued that Piccolo, and again, I might get some backlash for this, but when you think about how strong Piccolo has become after training with Gohan and all the feats he's shown so far in Super, I dare say that Piccolo might be on par, if not a little more powerful than Majin Buu. When you really think about it, again, it goes back to if Super is going to rewrite Buu to be a lot more powerful than he should be. But again, if we're talking Buu Saga, Super Saiyan 2 Goku, and we're not even talking about two of those put together, I think Piccolo is more powerful than Buu, because in terms of my own personal ranking of the Universe 17, and I'm talking about, let's say, the top 5 fighters here, I'd say Goku is number 1, Vegeta's number 2, Gohan's number 3, Piccolo number 4, and 5 is Majin Buu. So I'm going to bring this video to a close, and again, I want to get your own thoughts in the comment section below, because I know I covered a lot of information. Maybe I missed something in terms of, the manga and anime in regards to how powerful Buu is. I really, really hope that I get some great comments below, and again, let me know if I missed anything in terms of how powerful Fat Buu was, because again, I was taking information that we learned from the old Kai about Fat Buu, and then taking that in terms of how his fight with Super Saiyan 3 Goku went, as well as Kid Buu. But at the end of the day, I am happy to see Majin Buu back in the playing field, and it will be cool. And just to kind of end this video on a positive note, I was thinking to myself that, man, I wish that we had, like a Buu Tanks or a Super Buu or Kid Buu fighting instead of, this Fat Buu, because I do like Fat Buu, but I like the other Buus better because they were better in control of their powers. Like if they were fighting someone serious like Gotenks or Gohan, they would fight seriously instead of playing around. But I think that given the fact that we've gotten so many serious fighters, whether they be good or evil, that it's good to have somebody, on the battlefield who takes it as a joke, but when it's time to get serious, they get serious. So again, let me know your thoughts on how powerful you feel that the good Majin Buu is. And please like, comment, subscribe, and I will talk to you later.